Clemson has been revived. I mean, if this was a stock you should have bought a couple of weeks ago, but there's still time to buy because, well, the media still sees Clemson as not as highly rated as we think they should be, or a lot of you think they should be. Will Clemson go to the playoff? Will they beat Miami for the ACC championship? I mean, look what's happening. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Welcome to the channel. I'm Brian. I'm glad you're here. If you've never watched me before, I warn you, I like to have a little fun. And if you like having fun talking about college football, if you like to stir the pot a little bit, if you like asking questions that, well, you don't supposed to ask or else you're not a real fan, this is your channel. Hey, even if you hit the thumbs down, hope you'll hit the thumbs down on this video. Hit the thumbs up if you'd like. If you want to subscribe, remember it's free, so it's budget friendly. If you're anything like me, you have watched the past 2 weeks of Clemson football, thankful to finally see some excitement or semblance of an offense that can actually move the ball, an offense that will take shots down the field, an offense that knows when to run the ball when the defense is thinking pass and vice versa. We've seen talent on the field actually be used. I know it's mind-blowing. It's like you need to sit down, buckle up. You can't believe it. Yesterday, Clemson was beating NC State, a preseason dark horse for the ACC. I won't even say a dark horse. Someone that, if you talk to some fans, they would say, oh, NC State's right up there with Florida State and Clemson. Preseason Miami for the ACC. Well, we won't talk about Florida State. We will talk about NC State because that was yesterday. Clemson beat the brakes off them. It was 45-7 at halftime. Clemson had over 400 yards of total offense at halftime. Cade Klubnik came out, peeled off a 55-yard touchdown. Maffa was running. We saw Wesco. We saw Moore. We saw Williams. We saw Brenning Stoll doing their thing. It was like, wow, you're actually using the talent that you have. Now, the defense has been the defense. We felt sorry for them or empathy. Guys going out there trying to get the job done, trying to stop the other team just in hopes that one day the offense would stand up, that the offensive play calling, whatever the reason you want to blame Clemson's deficient offensive performances over the past 3-4 years on, seemingly is gone. Now, if you're someone who hates Clemson, or you're kind of like me, you're more of a realist, you're going to actually look and say, well, Clemson played probably the worst Appalachian State team I've seen in quite a while. I mean, South Alabama tore their helmet off the other night. And then NC State, they just looked dejected. Yesterday, while I was watching the game, the camera got a good shot of their sideline multiple times. Casey Concepcion looked like he was depressed, like he had walked in on his grandmother bathing. He just didn't want to be there anymore. Clemson beat the crap out of them. But if you've been watching Clemson football for the past 3 years, you know what I'm talking about. There is an excitement there. There is an aggressiveness there that we haven't seen. And I told you last week before this game, I talked about it yesterday. By the way, I was on the College Football Addiction today with TJ Pittinger. I want you to go over there, check out that video after this, of course. Drop him a line and let him know that you heard about me being on his show, and check out his show. He's got a great show. He's a Florida State fan. That's the only thing wrong with him. Hit the thumbs up over there. But coming back to this, I told him, I said, I was afraid that Clemson was going to go back in their shell. You go, how dare you? Stop drinking the Kool-Aid so much. We've seen Clemson do that. We've seen Clemson go back in their shell over the past 3 years, and to see them come out yesterday and be all business, and then to see all those players get to come in and play. Now, pause there. You can only bring in second, third, fourth, fifth string and a few cheerleaders. Like, where do I stand? This helmet is like messing up my hair. You can only bring them in if you're blowing out teams. Well, Clemson hasn't been blowing out teams like they used to during the Deshaun Watson, even the Kelly Bryant transition year, Trevor Lawrence. So you can't put second, third, fourth, fifth string cheerleaders, few sorority girls out there to play and get game time experience if you're not winning the game commandingly. You know that. That's duh. You can't do that. You're really asking for a loss then. But yesterday, we saw that. Last week, we saw that. And now everybody's excited. So is Clemson playoff bound? Miami played South Florida. They struggled for a little bit, but then they just took over, won the game, put up a bunch of points on South Florida. Everybody says Miami's the best team in the ACC, and then after yesterday, they're going, it looks like it's going to be Clemson and Miami for the ACC championship, unless one of them just lays a giant golden turd. So the question is, will Clemson beat Miami for the ACC championship and go to the playoff? Because that would be the road. We look at this schedule. Clemson has Stanford this week. They play Stanford this coming Saturday, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Clemson opens as a 22-point favorite. Very few people see Clemson losing this game. TCU was the only loss for Stanford for this season. They opened up the season, lost 34-27. Then they played at, I think that's, it's Cal Poly. They beat Cal Poly, and then they beat Syracuse on Thursday night. And the wide receiver, I believe, is A.O. Manor. The guy's unbelievable. He has 17 receptions, 234 yards. He's the guy who terrorized Colorado last year, and Travis Hunter. They were down, 29-0, came all the way back and won. And that guy, he had almost 300 yards receiving. You have to respect him. The guy has talent. But they're coming over here from the Bay Area, and the Bay Area doesn't have 85, 90-degree weather late September with 90% humidity. After that, Clemson goes down to Tallahassee. They're going to play Florida State. Florida State got their first win last night. Barely got their first win over Cal. Then Clemson's at Wake Forest. Clemson plays Virginia. Louisville comes to Clemson on November the 2nd. Who knows how good Louisville is? You're at Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, the Citadel, and then South Carolina. Realistically speaking, Clemson, by talent, is the most talented team of all those teams by talent that I just named out. Preseason, Josh Pate talked about, if you look at the talent chart, like if you rank the talent, how many 4 stars, 5 stars, blah, 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 that Clemson has on their team. And he talked about this last year. They're one of the most talented teams in America. Yeah, that's right. I know why everybody is over here screaming in some type of echo chamber where everybody else is screaming the same thing, that Clemson needs to go to the transfer portal, Clemson needs to do this, Clemson needs to do that. And I'm sitting here going, hey, if there's a problem, it's been coaching. I'm not saying the transfer portal hasn't been a thing. I'm not saying that Dabo couldn't have went to the transfer portal and legitimately pursued someone here and there, but that hasn't been the problem. It's been coaching. I've told you that. I have not shied away from that, and I won't shy away from it. Get a bunch of first-year guys in a room together, and they're running that side of the offense. That's how you get this type of Clemson offense. I've laid that out for you. My 8-year-old downstairs, I could explain it to him when he was 3, and he would get it. Some of you won't get it. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's the sound of my voice you don't like. But the point is, that's been the reason. Up now, you've got Clemson. They're opening up the playbook. All of a sudden, there's some restored belief in Cade Klubnik from Garrett Riley. I wish we would have done that week 1, but hey, I'll take it. It's sooner better than never. Later than never. Whatever the saying. I'm messing that up. So how do I think we need to approach this right now? I think we need to be hopeful because Clemson came out aggressive yesterday. It looked like they were extremely aggressive, just like they were in the Appalachian State game. They have Stanford coming in. Just be, all I'm asking them, just continue to be aggressive. Don't play down to your talent. And if you play a team who's coming out and they're taking swings at you because you're proving to be the most talented team that they've played, that you won't be surprised and you won't be shell-shocked and you won't start going back into your shell. That's what I ask of Clemson. That's what I ask of Clemson's offense. Their play calling. Some of you guys give them way too much leniency, while the players, you don't give them leniency. And I'm like, why don't you give them that? It's just like working a job. If your boss tells you to do something, you do something else, they fire you. That's the same with coaching. The players can go only as far as the coaches will allow them. If Clemson's offense will continue to be aggressive and they will continue to open up the playbook, they'll continue to put a guy out on the field, whether he's a true freshman and been here for 5 minutes versus a guy who knows all the Dabo talking points and he's friends with so-and-so, but we're putting him on the field because he works hard. To quote the grandpa from Christmas Vacation, talking about working hard, so does washing machines. That doesn't mean they need to be on scholarship. As long as Clemson continues to put the right players on the field, on offense, just like they do defense. They do it on defense. They continue to be aggressive, and they continue to take it game by game. It is actually realistically okay to expect them to win the rest of the games this season. In the regular season. It is legitimate for you and I to look at Clemson and say, where has this, or ask, where's this been at this entire time? Including the first game. Georgia. Some of y'all are really good at making excuses for why Clemson played scared football in the very first game. I say if you're going to play scared and you're going to try to hide it behind, well, we didn't know if so-and-so was ready or not, just admit you're scared. You remember that ridiculous old saying, scared, say scared? Yeah, just go ahead and admit it. You're scared. I mean, come on. It's okay if you believe that if Clemson implements their talent and they continue down this aggressive path of offense, they'll win the rest of the regular season games and win the ACC. But we got to take it game by game. Clemson has a lot to prove. Clemson's offensive coaching staff has a lot to prove. A lot. So let's let them prove it to us before we act like some of them, not all the Miami fans, but some of the Miami fans who already has them in the playoffs. And last I checked, Miami's played no one. Not shots fired there. It's just honest. Miami's played no one. And if they want to respond to me and say, well, Clemson lost the only game they played a team with a pulse, you would be correct, sir or ma'am. So, let's just be fair here. If Clemson utilizes their talent and they continue to be aggressive offensively and not one time did they go into their shell, they'll win out the rest of this regular season, win the ACC championship, and make it to the playoffs. Tell me what you think. Leave in the comment section below. Get to the comment section or the chat here. Adam Wood, best thing I've noticed was whenever Clemson started making plays, the creativity in the playbook opened up as well. Notice also that the defense, which has been the lifeline for us, they even became more crazy. Tommy Hancock, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I have to admit Klubnik looks different. You're right. I love the confidence we have. Just everybody is elevating. Makes me very excited for the rest of the season. Number one offense in the country, I read early. Really? Chop, the Clemson offense has looked really good the past two games, but I need to see them against the better teams of the ACC like Miami. That's very well. Very, very well. I like that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's take this one game at a time. Turner may get hurt and the season's over. I knew you were coming with that. You're crazy. Gotta love Clemson fans win versus some bottom feeders. Now they're winning something. Hey, hog dog, I laid it out, and I said, hey, you got to prove it to me. Because I agree. Last time we played a team with the Poets, we got our head ripped off. So you're right. Klubnik had a good game. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Donald Davidson, one game at a time. All right, folks. Drop a comment in here and let me know what you think. Should we clear out space in Death Valley for our next banner? ACC banner? College football playoff? Or should we pump the brakes and let them play one game at a time? I lean towards that. Catch you later. Hope you have a good weekend. Hope you'll subscribe. Remember, it's free, so it's budget friendly. And if you do want to support on a monthly basis, there's a login button below the video. $3 or $5 per month. It's budget friendly. If you like what I'm doing, you want to support monthly. I do appreciate it. You take care of yourself. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a good beginning of next week. As always, go Tigers.